Hey there, Libra. Welcome to your reading for the week of November 3rd. And this week, we're going to jump right in here. You have this Bear Tree card that says, don't waste your energy or efforts on something that is clearly not bearing fruit. You have this Scarab Spirit. It says, what appears unusable may still have great value if you look deeper. So, yeah, I would definitely look into things this week. It's kind of funny. Those two cards are kind of contradictory. It says, like, don't waste your time, but also something might have more value if you look deeper, which is kind of interesting, right? And so, I don't know. You might have to put your thinking cap on this week and really look into what you're working on. I do think we are, of course, in an amazing time to make sure that the things that we're working on are actually working. I mean, you always get the Seven of Pentacles with me. We'll see if it comes up in this reading. But, the Seven of Pentacles says, is the juice worth the squeeze? Of course, right? We have to look at what we're working on and make sure that we're actually getting a return on what we're working on. And if we're not, then we need to either make a change or we need to do something completely different, right? And so it might be a good time for you to kind of like look at the things that are producing or not producing and to focus on the things that are producing a result in your life. For your current general energies, you have the Two of Wands, the Page of Swords, and the Strength card. Two of Wands is about taking the lead. I literally just said this to Gemini. I think that for the rest of the year, that all air signs, I mean, not even the rest of the year, for the next like many years, that air signs are going to get these messages that they have to take the lead. And, just kind of like the time that we're in. The Two of Wands is about being willing to kind of go against the grain or being willing to build something new. He is standing at the top of his castle, and this wand right here stands on its own, but he has the whole world in his hands. It kind of says he is being asked to leave something that he has built behind, but it's not really going anywhere. It's like what he has built still exists. He's just being asked to expand, and he's being asked to, exceed his expectations. He hasn't reached the top yet, and I kind of feel that's what it's saying to you. You have the Page of Swords. Page of Swords is about curiosity. We do have Mercury retrograde this month, starting on November 9th, and he is looking towards the past. So sometimes I think the Page of Swords, when he shows up in the first row, it can say that you are, maybe spending a little bit too much time wondering why certain things have happened. I don't remember who I said this to, but in not the November readings, but the end of the year readings that I did, not last weekend, but the weekend before that, those readings, I was saying something to someone about how, and it might have been you, Libra, this is why I'm bringing this up. I was saying that, like, sometimes there just is no good answer as to, like, why something happens or why someone, did something to us or whatever. And so I do feel like the Page of Swords is kind of asking you to, like, let something go that might be taking up a lot of brain space, or it might be something that you're thinking about a lot. And, again, if something is dominating your brain space or distracting you, like something from the past, it might be time to just move past it. You have the Strength card. The Strength card, of course, is your inner strength. She is taming this lion. The lion represents her inner voice or her inner critic, her inner demons, but she is the one that's in control. And so I feel for a lot of you, this is about, taking control of that, your inner voice and needing to believe in yourself more. The Strength card is also a display of strength. She is kind of showing off how strong she is. And people are seeing her do something that is crazy. She is sticking her hands in a lion's mouth. And so a lot of you, I don't always say this, but I do feel that some of you could be kind of like putting on a display of strength, or people could be seeing how strong you are here, Libra, which, that could be good for a bunch of reasons. With the Two of Wands, you have the Ten of Pentacles. Yes, everybody wants the Ten of Pentacles right now because Uranus in the middle of this month will be retrograding back into Taurus. Uranus in Taurus is the Ten of Pentacles, kind of. Uranus and Taurus wants us to create freedom, wants us to build and leave a legacy, which is what the Ten of Pentacles represents. So, we are all being asked to figure out what this looks like for us. And we don't have to be perfect, of course, but I do think it's an amazing time to get clear of like what a perfect life would look like for you. Now, life is never perfect, of course not. But, I always say I think that it is a worthy goal to work towards having a perfect life. Again, will we ever get there? No. But if we get close, are we going to be disappointed? Also, no. So I think working towards the Ten of Pentacles and, building something great is what the reading wants you to do. With the Page of Swords, you have the Eight of Wands here. Yes, we have the Eight of Wands with the Eight of Wands. The Eight of Wands is showing up here in the area of messages from your future self. It is kind of funny that the Page of Swords is looking at this card here that says success and love. So it could be like, you could be thinking about a past person or a past situation. And it's one of those things. I do think when we forget about a person or we stop thinking about a person, usually that is when they kind of reach back out. So again, if you're thinking too much about a person, maybe you're not going to get the answers. But in the future, if you move past it, of course, they're probably going to reach back out. The Ace of Wands is also really important. I think like the critically important advice I have for people at the end of the year is to build momentum. And Eight of Wands is having a single focus. It is, all these wands are pointing in one direction. And so if everybody could just get their thoughts pointed in one direction towards one thing, they would probably have a great end to the year. And, I definitely encourage everyone to do this. It's not necessarily easy. And again, the beautiful thing is we don't have to be perfect. I am convinced if you're just like 51% to the positive, that's all that matters, right? And, if you could start working on that and start correcting your thoughts, then things could probably go a lot better. With the Strength card, you have the Nine of Cups. Again, the Strength card being a display of strength, it's like you've earned something here. Nine of Cups can be a wish or wish fulfillment, but I kind of feel like some of you have earned a wish, because of your strength here, Libra. It might not be here just yet, but I do think that there could be some sort of wish coming, something that you've been asking for that's coming in for you, and probably because of your strength, you've earned it at this point, and I feel that's what the universe is saying with this Nine of Cups. Both the Eight of Wands and the Nine of Cups, again, are cards of alignment. Like I said, Eight of Wands is about aiming in a direction. It's about picking one thing and making it happen. You also end with the Ace of Swords, which is great, showing up in the good stuff. But Ace of Swords is laser-like focus. We have to pick one focus and make it happen. And we have to cut everything else out. The Nine of Cups is about being in the energy of what you want. So basically the same thing. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you can't make this one up. You have this card that says thoughts. It says reflecting, thinking it through, forward planning, ideas, memories, thinking of someone or a situation. You have a success in love. It says romantic love, falling in love, new love, successful outcome in love, mutual love, intimacy, and loyalty. So if you're looking for love, that looks pretty good. I think your thoughts are very important this month. Of course, Mercury retrograde it does make us think more. And so, I think this is just a common energy right now, I would say. I think everybody's going to be thinking a lot during this retrograde. I also think Uranus retrograde as well. Uranus is the higher octave of Mercury. It's very mentally active when it's in Gemini. So it's been in Gemini. Again, in the middle of the month, it moves back into Taurus, but it's like we could be a little bit more mentally active because it's already been in Gemini. You have the Page of Wands, the Two of Pentacles, and the Seven of Wands. Page of Wands, this is about making a decision to stick to something, basically, is what I would say, all three of these cards together. It's like the Page of Wands, he needs to follow his enthusiasm. He needs to move towards what makes him feel excited about life, or, what brings him joy and peace and all those other good things. The Two of Pentacles, like juggling, trying to make a choice, and the Seven of Wands is, a very deep commitment, which we'll talk about in a minute. But I feel this Page of Wands is saying that something right now might just be a feeling. Again, this is like the number one challenge I think everybody is dealing with is Neptune and Pisces, because Neptune and Pisces makes no sense. Neptune and Pisces is like the universe is telling you to try to accomplish something impossible, which I say all the time, but it's critically important. It's like literally the only thing we should do right now is focus on something that's hard, that would make our life better, that seems impossible, because the secret is it's not actually impossible right now. It seems impossible, but you probably might just knock your own socks off if you had started working towards that impossible goal, wish, dream, whatever. And I definitely would with this energy. You have the Two of Pentacles. Again, this retrograde seems pretty good. Just in general, it seems to be one of those retrogrades where there could be a lot of clarity. Having said that, I do feel there will be a lot of distractions, right? So I think personally, we'll have a lot of personal clarity. We can get a lot of answers on what we're supposed to be doing. But I think we're going to see crazy stuff happen in the world. We already have seen, I've literally been predicting this since 2016. And, I said that the end of 2025 would be crazy. Haven't been wrong, basically. And what I would say is it's only going to get crazier. And, the peak is 2028. And really, technically, until the end of Uranus and Gemini, which will be 2033. But I just think that the peak of the craziness will be 2028, and then it will kind of go back down and then maybe get a little bit smoother after that. We're in a crazy time. So, will it ever get smooth in our lifetime? Maybe not. Pluto in Aquarius, that's going to be like 19 more years. So, definitely something to think about. But, again, there will be plenty of things to get distracted by. Your decision needs to be like, what can you control? And I feel like I say this to you a lot here, Libra, but it's definitely something that I would focus on. Two of Pentacles is a choice. He is juggling, spinning plates, doing a lot, but he has a choice on like what he focuses on. And obviously I would focus on things that move you forward with the Eight of Wands. You have the Seven of Wands. Again, I think you're committing to a decision. The Seven of Wands is a card of conviction. It's a card of knowing that you know that something will work. It's about having that deep of a belief that, when you get to that point where there is no other way than for you to be successful, that's when you truly become successful. And so, I feel like the Seven of Wands is talking about a commitment. I do also feel this is talking about having boundaries, of course. The Seven of Wands is a card of, protecting yourself from things that, could hurt you or whatever. And so it could be a good time for that. With the Page of Wands, you have the Page of Pentacles. We saw this success and love card, and so there definitely could be I dropped it. There could be a new person coming in for you. I always look at the Page of Pentacles as communication, and you have a ton of communication here. You have the Eight of Wands twice, Ace of Swords, this card. So, again, some of you could just be talking to a new person. The Page of Pentacles is also a card of studiousness, and one thing I will say as well is at the end of the year here, I've been getting a lot of like back to the drawing board energy. I don't think we have to like completely forget everything that we've learned. Obviously, that's like a bad idea, but I do feel that we have to realize that we are in a different world. We can choose to live in a different world in some ways, right? And so, there might be some things that you need to do right now to create success or to grow your finances. And I do feel it is a good time for people to like relearn things that you think it's like sometimes, I don't know, I have major ADHD. I literally can read a set of instructions like 10 times, and you bet your ass I'm going to miss something, right? I'm not going to see it. Like later, I'll read them again and I'll see what I missed. And that is like this energy right here. It's like saying that, it might be worth it for you to relearn some things that could improve your life because there might be some things you missed. With the Two of Pentacles, you have the Four of Swords. Yes, everybody, I literally said in the first reading that everybody would get this card, and I was right. Everybody's going to get the Four of Swords because Mercury retrograde. Four of Swords is the Mercury retrograde card for whatever reason, at least in my readings. It's a card of resting, relaxing, recovering, healing, all good things to do during retrogrades. He's hoping and praying for a blessing. There's a person here blessing another person. It kind of reminds me of Neptune and Pisces, right? It's like you have the dream. You just need to bring it down to earth, and so we have the Eight of Wands here and the Eight of Wands here, both connected to that Four of Swords. Eight of Wands is action. So, there you go. With the Seven of Wands, you have the Ten of Cups. Yes, if you have something good, protect it. Yeah, I think this is, when you think about it, you get the Nine of Pentacles with me a lot, the Queen of Pentacles with me a lot, the Empress sometimes you get with me. And, these are all common Libra cards. The Seven of Wands with the Ten of Cups is saying, like, you need to protect your vision, but also, as good things start to happen in your life, or if you create things that are good, it might be worth it to protect those things with the Seven of Wands. And I definitely would, with this card. The Ten of Cups is like fortune after difficulty, though. And we go up to the Tower. The Tower's coming up in the good stuff. So there definitely could be a little bit of fortune after difficulty happening for you after a difficult period of time. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Venus card. It says beloved on it. You have this conjunction card. It says alliance on it. You could be teaming up with a person. I feel you even end with this card that says shared dreams, and there are two people on it. So if you're attracting love, you could be attracting a person where it's like the two of you have similar goals. Like, I'm not saying you're exactly the same, but maybe your ideas about life are similar, or maybe you both want the same things out of life. So that could be good. It is also an amazing time to find support. You air signs, I'm trying to make a point. So of course you don't have the cards I want to talk about, but you air signs always get like 3 of cups, 3 of pentacles, basically saying you need to focus on building those concentrated, supported connections around you, the people who really lift you up. That's what I would be focusing on here. You have the 8 of Wands, the 9 of Swords, and the Temperance card. 8 of Wands is quick success, quick conclusions, moving forward very quickly. So there's a lot of speed here. Again, I think a key word for 2026 is going to be momentum. I mean, we're even entering into the year of the horse in, the Chinese astrology next year. And, the year of the horse is freedom and momentum. All things that show up in these end of the year readings. So we're not there yet. The Chinese New Year is February, right? So, we have a few more months. I think it's also interesting that February is when Saturn moves back in Aries. Neptune will be January, Saturn will be February. So it's like, right as we start the year of the horse, we get that, forward movement. So I would focus on building things or doing things that create momentum. You have this 9 of Swords. 9 of Swords like a never-ending nightmare. There's probably something that you have to get out of that is a nightmare. So if you have any nightmares in your life right now or anything that is repeating, I think you need to escape it. The other thing that I feel for Libra is, he has this blanket right here. This blanket has all these blue squares with astrological symbols inside them. And the blanket, those blue squares kind of are saying to him like, hey, you've lived through all this astrology. You've had all these experiences. You can easily handle your situation and you can easily accomplish whatever you're worried about accomplishing, or you can easily get away from whatever you feel like is holding you back. So it's like those blue squares are meant to give him comfort and confidence that he can change his situation. So, I feel like you should. Also, make sure to like and leave a comment. I forgot to say it, Libra, but it really helps me out. You have this Temperance card. Temperance is patience, but the thing about the Temperance card at the end of the year here is that, again, I think that we're trying to create perfection. My concern with Temperance right now this year is the South Node in Virgo. The Temperance card can be a little bit about perfectionism, and he's trying to turn water into wine, but he could easily start off on this path and go claim his crown. South Node in Virgo, it makes us want to be perfect, or it makes us think that, everything has to be perfect before we can get started on something, or before we can create something, or before we can have a relationship or whatever. But, basically that will never happen. So I feel that the Temperance card at the end of the year here for people is like really encouraging us to go claim our crown without needing things to be perfect, right? With the 8 of Wands, you have the King of Pentacles. Yeah, again, I've been very surprised by the money cards at the end of the year. In November, all the November readings had great money cards. I don't know. I just didn't think that this month would be that great for money. Not that it would be bad, but, I think there are crazy things happening in the world, for sure, financially, of course, right? But I don't know. It's like maybe we're going to be surprised, or maybe there's better opportunities to increase your wealth and, all that other good stuff. So, I think anything you can do to stabilize your finances would be good. With the 9 of Swords, you have the Empress. I said the Empress a minute ago, so definitely could be a lot of abundance. Now, the Empress with the 9 of Swords is really about putting yourself first. The Empress, she nurtures herself. She really cares for herself. The Empress is a very good card for Libra. So I would be, doing extra things to take care of yourself. I would also really be focusing on, doubling down on things that, build momentum. I would be focusing on doubling down on things at work. Like this year, I've been posting 460 videos. Last month, I posted 467 videos on YouTube, not just on this channel, of course, but, what I would say is like I am doubled down, more than doubled down on what is working. And I focus on, I've been focusing on building systems. All the stuff I've been talking about this year, I do it. Like I hate when people say do as I say, not as I do, right? I do these things. And so, again, I think that what is your, skill, right? I am good at doing videos, and, that's what I do, right? So that's all I focus on. Everything else I hire out, right? And obviously not all of you can hire people, but it's like, what can you do? Can you develop a system? When I blew up this channel, that's what I did. I just started with a system. I was doing videos whenever the hell I wanted. When my channel was stuck. Then I started doing 4 a day. I said to myself, I need to do 4 a day. It'll keep me ahead, and it will, it'll kind of help me have a routine, right? Like that was one of the biggest changes. It sounds simple, but like I used to do them whenever, right? But having a routine made it better. And I feel like this right here is saying you need a routine, for something that works. With the Temperance card, you have the Ten of Wands. Yeah, Ten of Wands carrying a heavy burden, but he is very close to achieving his goal. So again, I think a lot of you with this Temperance card, it's like you're very close to claiming your crown, or you're very close to having some sort of achievement. The Ten of Wands wants you to look at your responsibilities and say, are all your responsibilities yours, or do some of them belong to other people? And you might have to remove some responsibilities. You might have to give some obligations back to people that obligations that don't belong to you. But, if you lighten the load, things will get easier. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this Retreat card. It says withdraw, self-protection, and reevaluate. Based off of some of these cards, Seven of Wands, Empress, might be a good time to protect your energy and retreat from the world a little bit and, kind of focus on yourself, like I said. You have the Shared Dreams card. It says partners, places, times, adventures. Yes, I think you could be attracting a person where you have very similar vision for life. And, like I said, I don't feel like this person is exactly the same as you. I just think that your ideas are similar, or the things you want out of life, or the things you want out of a relationship are similar. You have the Tower, the Ace of Swords, and the Eight of Cups. The Tower and the good stuff can say that you are finally healing from a Tower moment, or you're walking away from a Tower moment, which is great. Some of you could be getting answers on a past Tower moment, and, sure, that could be a good thing. Ace of Swords can bring us justice, answers that kind of feel like justice. So, like I said, it's kind of funny that I said you're not going to get closure, but with that Page of Swords, more or less. But some of you, it's but again, what you could be doing with that Eight of Wands is you could be forgetting about something and then you get closure, right? So that's usually how it works anyway. You have the Ace of Swords, which is a victory coming in for you. The sword is above the mountains. The Ace of Swords can also represent overcoming an obstacle, and having the Nine of Swords right before it could definitely say that you are either removing an obstacle or you are overcoming an obstacle here, Libra, which I feel would be very good. I think that what's more important for Libra is going to be laser-like focus with the Eight of Wands twice and, all this other stuff that's showing up here. It's kind of like having that single focus mindset, like a dog with a bone here, Libra, where it's you say, this month I'm going to accomplish this one thing, and that's it, And if you make that your focus, I think you might just be very surprised with what you are able to accomplish. You have the Eight of Cups. Yeah, definitely a walking away month. I mean, all this stuff coming up here would say that you're walking away from things that no longer serve you. Again, I like the Eight of Cups. It's showing up in the good stuff, but even if it didn't, to me, it's a good card because he's walking away from something that no longer serves him, and he's choosing not to settle. Really, the Eight of Cups is the choice of not settling. These 8 cups do provide him with something, but it's just not what he wants. So he's choosing not to settle for less than he deserves. And, I definitely feel that for you here. With the Tower, what do you know? You cannot make this up. You have the Page of Swords. So, are you kidding me? There you go. It's the second you forget about this, whatever's going on here, I'm not even saying it has to be a relationship. It could just be an answer, something that's been weighing on your mind, an issue, a challenge, whatever. It's the second you forget about it is the second you get an answer right there. With the Ace of Swords, you have the Fool. For some of you, I feel this is a completely new direction. Sometimes I think we do this where, it's we think we're going to, get a job in somewhere, or we think we're going to start a project and then we completely make a shift. And I do kind of feel that that's a much deeper shift than just a change. It's you're completely changing something. And that might only be for some of you, but if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to move in this completely different direction, or I'm going to totally reinvent something, I do think it's a good time for Libra to do that. So, and, I feel it'll be worth it. With the Eight of Cups, you have the Six of Swords. Yep, moving on to calmer shores. So if you're walking away from something that no longer serves you, or if you're deciding that you're not going to settle, then, obviously that is going to be a good thing for you, Libra, and it's probably going to lead to a lot of success. You have this fan card. It says romance, celebration, party. Yes, if we want to meet a person, we're probably going to meet them in public this year, especially. So, and I think it'll be more worth it to meet a person in public this year as well. So, go have fun, do things that you enjoy, get out of the house, blah, blah, blah. Next, you have the September card, and this carrot says opportunity and windfall. I think you need to think back to September. It's like, what were you thinking about? What were you working on? There could be a big opportunity in an idea that you had that maybe you haven't been thinking about. So I would think back to that time. You have this cane card. It says, pay attention to your health. Yes, definitely. The month of November, we absolutely need to pay attention to our health. I think I said this in every single November monthly reading. I don't think it's a bad month for health. I just think we need to stay healthy, right? And if we do that, we will be fine. You have this kangaroo. It says, unsettled times need to plan ahead. Yes, right? You need to not get distracted by the distractions. There are going to be more distractions. The distractions are going to get crazier as well. So it just is what it is, right? And I think people who stay focused on what they can control are going to have the easiest time. You have this cup. It says you should accept valid criticism. I mean, this could be the Nine of Swords. It's like the Nine of Swords can be where we kind of like withdraw from something. The Nine of Swords. So if you're receiving criticism, then it's definitely like don't beat yourself up, obviously, and all that other good stuff. But there might be a little bit of truth in that, right? But this looks pretty interesting here, Libra. I like it. I don't see anything else. So thank you for being here. Make sure to leave a comment. Really helps me out. And definitely enjoy your week.